start anyway. Okay, that's for the recording purpose. Okay. Okay, so recording is on. Okay. Here we go. Close the dialog to see who it is. This. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let us continue this. Single voltage also we discussed briefly. Okay. Okay. Dual polarity supply and the peaking amplifier we discussed, and summing amplifier, scaling, and averaging amplifier. So all these are inverting. We discussed for both the inverting amplifier as well as non-inverting configuration. Non-inverting configuration that we discussed. Okay. Non-inverting, the only difference we found was that the gain is high than compared to inverting amplifier. So that is the major advantage of non-inverting amplifier. So for a larger gain, we go for a non-inverting configuration than the inverting configuration. That is the basic difference. Otherwise, both inverting and non-inverting, both are amplifiers. But the only thing is, in inverting case, output will be 180-degree phase shifted. In non-inverting, there is no phase shift of the input voltage. Okay, so that's the other point we can consider for the selection of a particular configuration, either inverting amplifier or a non-inverting amplifier. Okay, here we go. Okay, so averaging amplifier we discussed, summing amplifier VA/VB plus VC. I think this is also discussed. Okay, differential configuration. I think this. Okay, this will continue from here. Differential summing amplifier. I think we discussed. Last class we discussed. Okay, this is discussed. We'll continue from differential configuration. Okay, so differential configuration, as the name suggests, basically it's a subtractor. Somebody is on the line. Okay. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Yeah, and it's a subtractor and a summing amplifier may be constructed as a subtractor. Basically, this is a say something like 5 plus 5. It's a summing amplifier. 5 plus of minus 5 is a subtractor. Something like that. Okay. So basically, subtractor is nothing but a summing amplifier. So with that meaning, with that logic, summing amplifier can be used as a subtractor. There is a subtraction operation basically to obtain the difference of the two voltages applied to the amplifier. So the advantage is that application can be like we want to monitor the difference between two voltages. So then we go for a differential amplifier, which is basically a summing amplifier. Subtractor, because as we have understood, it's a operational amplifier. So using op amps, we can use some basic operations like adder, subtractor, integration, multiplication. So those things we can perform. So one of the application is a subtractor. So a differential amplifier can be used as a subtractor. Okay. To subtract two voltages applied to the amplifier. Okay. So in this, the input signals can be scaled to the desired values by selecting appropriate values for the external resistors. So it can be modified. The input voltages are modified using the additional resistors to the required level. That means input voltage is very high, we can reduce it so that it is it can be applied to an op amp. So that's a bit, because op amp can take a maximum input voltage. There's a limitation for that. So we should keep that in mind and accordingly we can apply the input voltage to the operational amplifier. Okay, so if that is done, that is if the input voltage is minimized using a resistors, then the amplifier is called as a scaling amplifier. We are scaling the input voltage, using the voltage divider network. We are going to scale the input voltage. So that figure will go jump to the figure. Okay, so the external resistors are equal in value, so the gain of the amplifier is equal to 1. Okay, so with the intention to keep the gain 1, the resistors are chosen equally. So the figure is 6, and let me jump to, yeah, this is the basic differential amplifier, which acts as a subtractor. This on the line. Okay, here we go. Okay, just hold on a second. Just hold on a second. I need to take the screenshot so that that serves as a attending purpose. I showed in the last class. Somebody already left. Basraj, yeah, something like that. Okay. Yeah. Just a second. It is already recorded. Here we go. Okay, so fine. Here we go. So subtractor, basic subtractor circuit using a differential amplifier. Why? Because it gives the difference of the two voltages applied to the amplifier. Since it has to take a difference amplifier, we cannot apply it to the single input. Because if you apply it to the single input, what will happen is, it acts as a summing amplifier. Of course, summing amplifier we can modify. There is, say, if it is summing amplifier, instead of plus VB, we can apply minus VB. That is, a negative is connected to the circuit. I guess what I'm trying to say is, let us go to that summing amplifier and we'll discuss. Okay, just a second. What I'm trying to say, let you know, summing is nothing but adder circuit and some summing amplifier. Okay, summing amplifier, something like this. In this case, instead of applying positive voltage, if we apply minus VB, there is negative is connected to the input of the op amp. So then we can obtain a differential amplifier. That's also possible. Okay, in this circuit, instead of plus VB, we can apply minus VB. Very simple. Okay, so this is a summing amplifier where all the three inputs are applied to only one input terminal. Okay, and the other input terminal, that is non-inverting input terminal, is grounded. Okay, so this is also possible. Okay, but this gives a inverting configuration. Okay, so output is a inverted version of the input voltage. That's a difference. Instead of this, we can directly go for a difference amplifier to obtain the difference of the two voltages. Then we can call it as a subtractor. So then we can directly implement a subtractor. I need to take one more screenshot. 66 now. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Okay, so two voltages VA and VB applied to the op amp. So output voltage is and we are selecting R is equal to R. That is, input resistors are equal, which is equal to the, observe this. These two resistors are equal to the resistor applied to the non-inverting input terminal. Okay, why this is necessary, guys? One reason is that this will provide the DC current for the path for the DC current to flow into the input terminal of the what you call op amp. Okay, this is a non-inverting input terminal of the op amp. Okay, the question here is that why this according to this logic, even the non-inverting input terminal should have connected to ground using a resistor. If you go according to this logic, there should have been another resistor which should have been connected to ground even for the inverting input terminal. Okay, but this is not necessary. Why? In the earlier class we understood that if non-inverting input terminal is connected to the ground, the inverting input terminal will be in a condition called as virtual ground. Okay, so this terminal is forced to reduce to 0 volts. That's enough. We need not short it to ground, not necessary. So it will be in a condition called as virtual ground. Okay, so this resistor serves the two purposes. One is it will provide the path for the DC current to flow, and it will also generate a virtual ground at the inverting input terminal. Okay, here we go. So this is the condition. So with the resistors equal, if you consider equal resistor at the input terminals as well as at the feedback, and also this is This is this. What is one more purpose of this resistor is connected to ground. It will help in equalizing the current at both the input terminals. So both the currents will be equal. Okay, something like that. So with that purpose, equal resistor selection will help in achieving a gain of 1 minus, since it is an inverting amplifier, minus R by R. So R is equal to R. So then output voltage is it's a minus of VA minus VB. Of course, applying negative the sign, it is VB minus VA. Very simple. Okay. So ultimately it is giving a difference of the two voltages. Okay. It is output voltage is VB minus VA, since it is a inverting amplifier. So the output voltage V0 is equal to the voltage VB applied to the non-inverting input terminal minus the voltage VA applied to the inverting input terminal. Okay. Hence the circuit is called as a subtractor. It will subtract two voltages. Okay, that's what it is. Okay, so guys, when we say voltages, it can be both AC as well as DC. But for DC it acts quite differently. But for AC it acts quite differently. But DC it's okay. For example, let's say here you apply 5 volts. Here we apply, let's say, 2 volts. Then the output voltage must be 2 minus 5. 2 minus 5 volts, which should be equal to minus 3 volts. Very simple. Straight away we get the output voltage for the difference amplifier when the input is DC. Okay, this next is summing amplifier, and that is in the same sense. That is, we are using the difference amplifier as a subtractor. We can use the difference amplifier as a adder. Summing amplifier. It's nothing but okay. This for a summing amplifier, what we can see is we are applying 4. Okay, somebody is on the line. Just a second. Okay. Okay. We see 4 voltages. Okay, there is VA VB applied to the inverting amplifier. Yes, see, if you assume that, let's say, these resistors are not connected, let's say these two voltage VC and VD is not connected, and these two resistors are not connected, this circuit is nothing but the summing amplifier. This circuit is nothing but a summing amplifier, basic summing amplifier. Okay, so what is the only difference we are doing now is to this summing amplifier, to the non-inverting input terminal, we are connecting 2 more voltages, VC plus VD. Okay, with that we can achieve what is known as a summer amplifier. Okay, so that is adder circuit basically. Okay, so with this equal resistance, so same logic, we are equal resistance at the input terminals R and R. Okay, and this resistor should be equal to the equivalent resistance at the inverting terminal, that is equal to R, of course, since it is used as a parallel network. This R, and this 3 are in a parallel combination, R parallel with R, parallel with R, so which is approximately equal to opposites. Actually less than R, but we can approximate it to be equal to R at least. So then it will be equal to okay, R. So this resistance is standard value. Which all these are the standard value. Okay, it is not like exact value we use. They're all standard values. Okay, so with this condition, output voltage, since guys, okay, now the question here is it a inverting amplifier or a non-inverting amplifier? Since the voltages are applied to both the inverting input terminal and non-inverting input terminal, circuit is a difference amplifier, not the inverting or what you call non-inverting amplifier. Circuit is a what is known as a difference amplifier. Okay, but in this difference amplifier, this one thing we have to very carefully observe, that the feedback is given to inverting input terminal, not to the non. So you could have given like this also. This was also possible, right? You could have given a feedback to non-inverting input terminals also. Okay, but this is not recommended. Why? If feedback is given, somebody is on the line. I opened something else. Okay, okay. If the input is given to, just a second. I need to. Taking attendance itself takes time. There's a problem, because. So since feedback given to non-inverting input terminal is not recommended, why? Because is that that feedback to the non-inverting input terminal will increase the gain of the amplifier. That is closed loop gain of the amplifier. Okay, but if it increases the closed loop gain of the amplifier, we will not have any control over the operational amplifier. Output starts oscillating. We don't want this condition. Okay, we want the operation of the op-amp should be linear, not non-linear. Okay, for linear operation, we have to go for a negative feedback. That is feedback to the inverting input terminal. Okay, in that condition, when the op-amp is used as a difference amplifier, since feedback is given to the inverting input amplifier, the gain of the amplifier depends on the inverting amplifier configuration. That is the feedback amplifier divided by the feedback resistance divided by the input resistance. Okay, that is nothing but R by R. Of course, to be more precise, minus R by R, which is equal to 1. Okay, because in this combination we should not have a doubt whether it's a inverting amplifier or a non-inverting amplifier. It is actually what is called as difference amplifier. It's basically okay. What is the output voltage is? Output voltage is observe this. Say these two VA VB are applied to inverting amplifier. So as the condition says, inverting amplifier output is inverted, VA VB is inverted, whereas these two voltages applied to the non-inverting amplifier, output voltage are not inverted. Okay, so it's a summation of VA VB VC and VD, of course. But in this case, what happens is that these two are inverted. Okay, that means we are using difference amplifier as a summing amplifier. Summer, basically, we are using difference amplifier as a summing amplifier. In the earlier case, we saw the summing amplifier, which was basically inverting amplifier. If you go back to that circuit, let us look into that circuit again. This is, for example, it is a non-inverting summing averaging amplifier. Sorry, it's not summing amplifier. In this circuit, if you see, this is a summing, this is a summing amplifier. Okay, in this case, what we can see is the voltages are applied only to the inverting input terminal. Okay, so in this case, it's an inverting amplifier, not a difference amplifier. So what we are discussing now is a differential amplifier used as a subtractor, and it is used as a summing amplifier. That is adder, basically. We can call it as a adder. That's all. Okay, so that's how we are making use of differential amplifier as a subtractor as well as adder circuit, which is generally called as a summing amplifier. We don't call it as an adder because adder means only addition. Here we can also amplify. That's why it's called as a summing amplifier. Okay, yes, next is this is a summing amplifier. Okay, okay, so this condition is the output voltage equation for the summing amplifier okay, deriving the output voltage equation. Okay, for this one, how did we get the output voltage equation? Okay, so okay, so in this case we can see that how do we arrive at that equation? So assuming that let us say, for example, initially the input voltages applied to non-inverting input terminal is 0, for example. Okay, in this circuit, if you see that there are 3 resistors connected to non-inverting amplifier, assuming that VC VD is 0, the other terminal is anyway 0, and VB is also made 0. Okay, so in that case, this is connected to ground. Okay, so this combination is shown here to derive the output equation. Okay, in this combination, we can see that the VOA, the output voltage due to A. Let's observe this. VOA, I think you may not be able to see this. It's not properly visible. VOA, output voltage due to only input voltage VA. This is VA, guys. The A that's not visible. I think you may see it like a dot. It is plus VA. So VOA means output voltage only due to input voltage VA. Okay, can be represented as, for this basic circuit configuration, it is inverting amplifier. So the gain of the inverting amplifier is minus R by R into VA. Okay, so output is minus VA because it's inverting amplifier. Output voltage becomes VA, assuming that V2 is equal to 0. Okay, similarly, we can observe the output voltage due to VB, assuming that only VB is connected here instead of ground. VB is connected. This is given to 0. I mean, VA is 0, for example. In VA point is connected to ground. Okay, so then output voltage is VOB. So in that case, we can write VOB as minus VB. On the same lines, we can write it as, because it's an inverting amplifier, VOB becomes minus VB. Okay, Next is, guys, similarly we can find the output voltage at V1. Okay, that's V2. Okay, no problem. Okay, so now if input voltages VA, VB, and VD are set to 0, okay, and the circuit becomes a non-inverting amplifier. That is, if you apply only VC, only VC is applied, all other three voltages are 0. It is a non-inverting amplifier because we are applying voltage only to the VC. Other terminals are 0. Okay. So then point V1, guys, point V1 is not printed here. Okay. This is the point V1, guys. There is missing here. This is the point V1. Okay. This is the point. Okay. So at point V1, only voltage due to VC, according to this circuit, only due to voltage VC, assuming all others are 0. All other are connected to ground. It's a summing non-inverting amplifier. So then, for a non-inverting amplifier, output voltage can be obtained as V1. There is the voltage V1 at the non-inverting input terminal is according to the resistance R by 2 divided by R plus R by 2 into input voltage VC. Okay, it's nothing but VC by 3. That is, let's observe this. There are 3 resistors. Okay, these 3 resistors only VC, here only VC is applied, and these 2 are the resistors connected to ground. It acts as a averaging amplifier. That is, it becomes VC by 3 because of the 3 resistors. So equivalent resistance is 1 by 3 into R. So hence average voltage, voltage at this point V1 is VC by 3. Okay, there is a equivalent voltage at V1 is VC by 3 because we are applying only one input voltage. So accordingly, the input voltage applied to the non-inverting input terminal is VC by 3, and the output voltage due to VC, okay, can be written as, it's a gain of the non-inverting amplifier into V1. V1 is nothing but voltage applied at the non-inverting input terminal, that is VC by 3. So, equalizing the, simplifying this equation, we can write the output. We can write the output voltage due to input voltage VC is VC. Okay, assuming that gain is 1, because here the things cancels, like 3 cancels, so it becomes VC. Similarly, VOD we can derive it as VD. Very simple. Okay, so from these 4 points, these 4 equations, one is VOA, one equation is VOA, next is VOB. Then comes VOC, that is equal to VC, okay, and VOD. Okay, so we can conclude that the output voltage due to the 4 voltages is minus VA minus VB plus VC plus VD. Very simple. Okay, because it's the because VA and VB are applied to inverting input terminal, VC and VD are applied to non-inverting input terminal. Very simple. This is very simple. I mean, it's quite straightforward. If you understand the basics operation of the what you call inverting and non-inverting amplifier, it's quite straight away we can conclude from that basic operation of the amplifiers. Okay, so the output voltage is equal to the sum of the input voltages applied to the non-inverting input terminal plus the negative of the sum of the input voltages applied to the inverting input terminal. That is, inverting input terminals are inverted and added to the voltages applied to the non-inverting input terminal. That's all. Okay, so that's author is trying to say that it's very simple. So even though the summing amplifier is 1, any scale factor can be okay. So in this case we have assumed that that gain of the amplifier is 1, but depending on the requirement we can amplify the voltage by selecting the appropriate value of the gain. There is a scale factor can be used for the inputs by selecting proper external resistors. So we can use appropriate resistor values to achieve required amount of gain from the amplifier. Okay, yes. So a small example. R is equal to 1 kilo ohm. VA is 2 volts. VB is 3 volts. This is very important. If not plus, we'll get the other way around. VC is plus 4 volts. VD is 5 volts. Okay. So supply voltage is plus or minus 15 volts. So determine the output voltage V0 for these values of the input voltages. Okay, very simple. Straight away we can obtain the. So V and VB are inverted, and it is added to VC and VD. Output voltage is plus 4 volts. Okay, here we go. Okay, yes, the last topic from the first unit is, what is known as a instrumentation amplifier. Okay, so with this we can conclude the, just a second. Okay, we can conclude the first unit. Okay, so what is an instrumentation amplifier? So it's the industrial and consumer in industrial and consumer applications. The measurement and control of physical conditions are very important. There is measurement of physical parameters are important, like temperature, pressure. Okay. So for measurement of temperature, for example, and humidity inside a dairy or a meat plant, permit the operator to make necessary adjustments to maintain the product quality. Okay, so based on the measurement, the parameter has to be adjusted so that things are maintained better inside a setup. Storage setup, something like that. Okay, the precise temperature control of plastic furnace is needed to produce a particular type of plastic. Okay, fine. So the transducer, there is measuring device. What is a transducer, guys? Is a measuring device. Is used at the measuring site to obtain the required information easily and safely. Okay, so the transducer is a device that converts one form of energy to another form. That is, for example, temperature, to convert temperature into this physical quantity into electrical quantity, like current or voltage. So that is used to measure the parameter, physical quantity. So for example, strain gauge subjected to pressure or force undergoes change in its resistance. So which change in resistance can be measured using current or voltage. So change in resistance, like using a Wheatstone bridge, we can measure the unknown resistance. So thereby we can equate it to the what do you call, physical parameter. So okay, so we can configure the we can calibrate the instrument to measure the physical quantity. That's what it is. Okay. So where we are this? Okay, here we go. Okay. Okay. So here instrumentation system is used to measure the output signal produced by a transducer, and often to control the physical signal conditioning, physical signal producing it. For example, let us say we have AC, air conditioners. We not only measure the temperature of the room or the enclosure, we also have to control the particular parameter which is being measured. We are measuring the temperature, we have to control the temperature. Okay, so that's the requirement. Okay, so simplified system. Let us look into the basic instrumentation amplifier setup. There is measuring setup. Okay, okay, so this is something like this. Yeah, so physical quantity to be measured, like for example temperature. For example, in AC environment, we need to maintain the temperature. So transducer or preamp. So the transducer output is amplified and it is applied to input stage. Okay, why preamplifier is required is because transducer output may be very small. It's very small, so it may be difficult to measure. In that case, it is better to amplify it. Then it is applied to input stage. Okay. So at the input stage, both the input parameters are compared. That is from the physical quantity to be measured, that gives the requirement, and the actual level of the physical quantity. Okay, so based on that, it is processed using the what is known as a instrumentation amplifier. Okay, because we need to amplify the signal so that it is amplified, and based on the result we can control this parameter being measured. Okay, at the output stage. Okay, so output stage indicator and the automatic process controller. Okay, so it indicates the actual temperature. Let us say, for example, 25 degrees centigrade. So let us say our requirement is, let us say, 18 degree. Okay, 18 degrees centigrade. So then we need to control this parameter which is being measured. So that's the requirement. So because based on the goal setting, based on the requirement, based on the target level, we have to adjust the parameter in such a way that physical quantity. So this physical quantity can be controlled based on the requirement. Okay, so that's what it is. So that is the basic purpose of what is known as a instrumentation amplifier. Okay, So in this case, the input stage composed of a preamplifier and a transducer. It can be a sensor or a transducer. So depending on the physical quantity to be measured, because why I said sensor is, that uh, there is a basic difference between a sensor and a transducer. Okay, because transducer can be a semiconductor device also, but sensor is a basic, sensing element. Okay, basic sensing element. So it can be either a sensor or a transducer. Okay, here somewhere here, transducer or sensor. So the output stage may be a device such as meters, oscilloscopes, charts, or magnetic recorders, or display devices. Nowadays, we go for a digital, measurement. Embedded systems to be more, because we are all learning microcontrollers. So ultimately, we need to understand the embedded systems. Because nowadays, I think everybody is very much aware of what is that, oximeters, where to measure the blood oxygen level. So that the device not only measures the blood oxygen level, it will also display the blood oxygen level. Okay, so it's a see, if the device oximeter, if it does not sense the blood oxygen, how can it display? So there needs a measurement. Of course, in the oximeter, it is not controlling the the blood oxygen level, but it is only displaying. It is displaying the blood oxygen level in a real-time fashion. Okay, so as the blood oxygen level varies, it will in display that blood oxygen level in a real time. Okay, so it's an embedded system. Anyway, so block diagram of a instrumentation system. Okay, so the yes, instrumentation amplifier using transducer bridge. Okay, okay, so let us quickly look into this. Yeah. So connecting lines between the blocks represent, okay, transmission lines. This transmission lines means communication technique. It can be wired or wireless communication. Okay, using Bluetooth protocol also we can communicate to distance level. For longer distance communication, wireless methods are employed, especially when the transducer at a, so for example, if it is at a remote site, monitoring hazard condition, for example, in a such as high temperature liquids, in a nuclear plant, let us say the temperature is being measured, where human being cannot physically present and monitor. In that case, various wireless communications are used to monitor the parameter. Okay, so these transmission lines permit signal transfer from unit to unit. So it is used to communicate among the various devices. So the length of the transmission line depends on the primarily the physical quantities to be monitored and on system requirements. Okay, so digital nowadays, the SCADA systems employs digital techniques and wireless communication. So wireless communication is preferred for a longer distance communication. For shorter distance communication, wired communication is okay. Okay? So source of this wireless and wired communication we'll discuss in our microcontroller course also. For serial communication, we discuss that wired and wireless communications. Okay. Signal source of the instrumentation amplifier is the output of the transducer. Okay, obviously transducer gives the parameter to be measured by the instrumentation amplifier. Some transducer produce outputs with a sufficient strength to perform. I think something is missing. Perform. I think, okay. Perform their use directly. Many do not. Say, for example, this strain gauge. These strain gauges, changes in this undergoes change in resistance whenever a force is applied, force or pressure is applied. The change in resistance has to be measured. It depends. Say, a transducer may not be user friendly. It needs some additional circuitry is needed to measure the quantity. So to amplify the low level output signal of the transducer so that it can drive the indicator or display device, okay, is a major function of the instrumentation amplifier. As I said, transducer may give a very low strength signal. Okay, it will generate very low signal. So this low signal is not sufficient to display, require some voltage at a particular level. Okay, in that case, we cannot apply the transducer output directly to the display device. we need to modify. Modify in the sense we need to amplify, so that it can be handled by the display devices or measuring devices. In that case, this instrumentation amplifier comes into picture. It's very useful. Okay. Yeah, here we go. So in short, the instrumentation amplifier is intended for precise low-level signal amplification, where low noise, low thermal and time drifts, high input resistance, and accurate closed loop gain are required. Okay, yes, I'll discuss each one of them little detail. Low signal, okay, this needs to be amplified. Low noise, low thermal and time drifts, and high input resistance and accurate closed loop gain are required. Okay, this what does it mean? This is something like this. Let us say this is the transducer. This is the transducer. Okay, this is needs to be connected to a display device or measuring unit. Let us call it as a measuring unit in general. Okay, it may be display device, whatever it's. Okay, this now, if this is done, what happens is that this device will have a loading effect on the measuring the transducer. Transducers are sensor, whatever it is. Okay, so thereby, and moreover, the output of this transducer is very weak signal, not sufficient to drive a measuring device. In that case, we go for a op amp. In that case, we go for a, there is instrumentation amplifier using a operational amplifiers. These op amps help in amplifying this low level signal. That is, it will amplify the low level signal. Amplify. Not only amplify, these op amps or instrumentation amplifiers will help in isolating the transducer from the display or measuring device. This isolation is very important. If not isolated, this measuring device will be a burden on the transducers. Because say measuring device has some resistance. This will modify the resistance of the transducer. As this resistance varies, this measurement may not be proper. This op amp on the other hand has very high input impedance. This high input impedance makes sure that it will draw very small current from the basically current from the transducer. Thereby, it will not have any loading effect on the transducer. One thing, and it helps in amplifying the that low current, so that that current can be applied to measuring devices. Okay, so that's the meaning of low noise. Low noise, low thermal, and time drifts and input resistance. Okay, and accurate closed gain can be achieved using a instrumentation amplifier. Okay, so besides low power consumption, high common mode rejection ratio and high slew rate are desirable for a super power. Okay, anyway, so these parameters are necessary. Okay, there are many instrumentation amplifiers such as MUA725, ICL 7605, LH. These are instrumentation amplifiers. Okay, consisting of op amps that make circuit extremely stable and accurate. These ICs are, however, relatively expensive. They are very precise special purpose circuits in which most of the electrical parameters such as offsets, drifts, and power consumptions are minimized. Okay, this okay, what is this drifts? Drifts in the sense variation in the parameter. That means it should be a linear device. What the author is trying to say is, this instrumentation amplifier should be a linear device, so that smallest variation in the input parameter, let us say current, for example, will result in proportional variation in the parameter which is applied to measuring device. Okay, this power consumption means this device should draw very small current from the maybe battery operated. It should draw, because we have to apply biasing voltages, that is plus 15 and minus 15 voltages. So it should draw very small current, small voltage, so that it should operate with the very small power supply. Okay, because it may be battery operated. So in that case, so power consumption is a very important factor. Okay, so consumption are minimized, whereas input resistance, CMRR, and supply range are optimized. Okay, so all these are we are discussed with, CMRR. Let us not go back to that discussion again. So some instrumentation amplifiers are even available in modular form to suit special installation. Okay, modular form means See, okay, what is a modular form? These are available in the form of IC. IC means integrated circuit with the pins. Okay, these some instrumentation amplifier are available in kind of in a device form, which can be fitted with another device. That is known as a modular form. Okay, so IC, see, if it is an IC, we have to place it on a IC base, and that should be made part of a bigger circuit. There are some instrumentation amplifier which are already available in the modular form, centralized. It's already fitted with the all the required components, so it is ready to use with the in a particular environment or in a particular setup. Okay, so the requirements for instrumentation op-amps are more rigid than those for a general purpose applications. Okay, that means expectation is more in case of instrumentation amplifier than a normal. Say, for example, we used op-amps for the summing amplifier. Just now we discussed, summing amplifier, difference amplifier. Okay, here even if there is a slight variation in the voltage, instead of there is one is example 4 volts, for example 4. Even if we get a 3.9 volts, it's okay. I mean, 3.9, 3.8, 3.5 is okay, but not that that's not the case in instrumentation amplifier. It should be more precise. Okay, expectation is very high in case of an instrumentation amplifier. The requirements are not too strict in a general purpose op-amps, can be employed in the differential mode. Okay, where the requirements are not too strict, the general purpose op-amp can, okay, that one. This is the example we discussed. In a differential mode, we'll call such amplifiers as differential instrumentation amplifiers. That means in case if it is requirement is not too strict, not too rigid, then we can use a differential instrumentation amplifiers. Most of the instrumentation systems use a transducer in a bridge circuit. We'll consider simple. Okay, so first we'll discuss the transducer bridge circuit. Okay, so which is part of the instrumentation amplifier. Okay, so simplified. Okay, let us look into the circuit, guys. I need to minimize it. I think this is something else. A differential. I'll close this. I do. Differential instrumentation amplifier using a transducer bridge. Just a second. Okay, here we. Okay. Yeah, transducer. Differential amplifier. Instrumentation amplifier using a transducer bridge. Okay. Okay, this is differential. Why it is a differential instrumentation amplifier? Because there are two op-amps, A1 and A2, which will measure the, which will amplify the input from the bridge. Okay, so we have a resistive transducer. The best example for a resistive transducer is strain gauge. Strain gauge, as the name suggests, it is used to measure the stress or there is pressure or force. It's called as a strain gauge. I think in this what is the subject is measuring devices, measuring instrument course. I think you have one measuring course. In that, I think you'll study this strain gauges, which is used to measure the force or the pressure. Okay, so this when force or pressure is applied on the strain gauge, it will undergo changes in the its resistance. So that resistance is measured in the Wheatstone bridge. So that change in resistance will generate a voltage VA. I think it's not clear. There is a very small VA printing. It looks like a V dot. It is VA. Okay. So this voltage VA is applied to operation amplifier A1, and VB. This point VB is applied to another amplifier A2. So that's say. Maybe we could have applied both the voltages to both the input terminals of a single op-amp, and then it is a normal instrumentation amplifier. We are applying it to two operation amplifier, and hence it is a differential instrumentation amplifier. If you observe both the op-amps, guys, what is the configuration of both the op-amps? Both are acting as a if you observe, feedback is given to inverting input terminal. There is no resistance, so both of them are acting as a voltage follower circuit. Voltage follower circuit. What is voltage follower circuit, guys? Output is same as the input voltage follower circuit. Okay, with the gain of 1. So both A1 and A2 has a gain of 1. Gain of 1. Okay. So the output of this A1, A2 are applied as a voltage to the input voltage to A3, op-amp A3. If you observe the configuration of A3, observe this configuration of A3, guys. There is here there is a voltage let us call it as VOA. Here there is a voltage VOB. That means we are applying two voltages, VOA and VOB, to this amplifier, which is acting as a differential amplifier. Which is acting, just now we saw this, we discussed this circuit. It is acting as a differential amplifier. Okay, so the output is the sum of these two voltages, which is generally represented as VAB. That voltage is measured, and the current can also be indicated. So we are measuring the output of the difference instrumentation amplifier. Okay, so that's how we can make use of a transducer to measure the unknown quantity, physical quantity. Okay, here we go. Yes. So what is the important point is amplifier, simplified differential. Okay, let's 5 more minutes. Differential instrumentation amplifier using a transducer bridge. Okay, this is two transducer. Okay, some physical energy is connected. Okay, and around it denoted as with a small circuit around it denoted as RT plus delta. Okay, RT is the resistance of the transducer. Delta is the change in resistance. Okay, for example, strain gauge, as we have understood. Okay, as we discussed. So the bridge is excited, but could be AC. So okay, the bridge is DC excited as well as AC. That means bridge can be both AC as well as DC. Okay. So for balanced bridge at some reference condition, VA is equal to VB. Okay. Under balanced condition, two voltages are equal. That we saw just now. Okay. So using the resistance, that is using this equivalent resistance combination, there is a bridge condition. Okay, there is RA, RB, and RC, and the resistance is RT plus delta. Okay, so balanced bridge condition. We can derive the equation for here the assumption is that DC is applied. Input is DC, but as the as the author says, this can be AC also. The input voltage can also be AC. Okay. Okay. So so under balance condition, RC by RB is equal to RT by RA. Okay, that means so change in resistance of the transducer. Okay. Okay. So helps will determine the generation, will result in a generation of voltage that is going to be measured by the instrumentation amplifier. Okay, so RA, RB, RC are selected so that they are equal in value to the transducer resistance at some reference condition. Okay, so this is a balance condition. Okay, so there is RT is the basic resistance of the transducer under no pressure condition or no force condition. So the reference condition is the specific value of the physical quantity under measurement at which the bridge is balanced. Okay. So this value is normally established by the designer and it depends on the, okay, fine. So all these points are okay. 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 So the bridge is balanced initially at a desired reference condition. However, as the physical quantity to be measured changes, that is as the delta R changes, the resistance of the transducer also changes. There is delta R. Okay. There is physical quantity. As the temperature changes, results in change in temperature, resistance of the strain gauges, which causes the bridge to unbalance. Then VA is not equal to VB. So this change in voltage VA and VB is measured by the instrumentation amplifier. So the output voltage of the bridge can be expressed as a function of change in resistance of the transducer. Okay, fine. So that's how this change in voltage should result in should be measured by the instrumentation amplifier. Okay. So the resistance of the transducer delta R, RB, RC are fixed resistors. Okay, VB is a constant voltage. The VA varies as a function of variation in as a function of change in the transducer resistance. So according to the voltage divider rule, okay, so we can derive the equation for the voltage. V is equal to R into VDC divided by RA plus RT plus delta R. There is change in resistance. Similarly, we can write the equation for VB. So VAB, there is voltage across the bridge. It can be represented as VA minus VB. As say, this is equal to 0 under balance condition. But under unbalanced condition, this will not be equal to 0. Okay? So by using those equations, we can simplify this further. So assuming that RA, RB, RC is equal to RT, assuming this condition, which is equal to R, just for the simplification purpose. So VAB is equal to, of course, not simplification purpose, these three are equal anyway. See, RA, RB, RC is selected to be equal to that of RT. There is a resistance of the strain gauges, for example, under unforced condition. And there is under the absence of the pressure or the voltage. Pressure or the force. So VAB is equal to delta R VDC divided by 2 into 2R plus delta R. Okay. In this case, R, VDC, and denominator, all these are constant value. But as the temperature changes, this delta R changes. So VAB is proportional to delta R. So that's going to be measured by the instrumentation amplifier. Okay. So the negative sign in this equation indicates that negative sign, of course not printed here, but negative sign indicates that VA is less than VB because of the increase in the value of delta. So the output voltage VAB of the bridge is then applied to the, what is the time? Okay, just 2 more minutes. Okay, applied to the differential instrumentation amplifier composed of 3 op amps. The voltage followers proceeding the basic basic amp that we saw, voltage follower circuit preceding the basic differential amplifier help to eliminate loading of the bridge circuit. Yes, as I just now explained, these two. Okay, the obvious question here is that what is the purpose of this A1 and A2? Okay, since it is acting as a voltage follower, you could have connected this directly to this this A3 instead of using this A1 and A2 will help in isolating this bridge circuit from this output circuit, that is basically from the measuring device, using this A1 and A2. A1 and A2 will help in isolating, thereby it will reduce loading effect of this measuring device on the transducer. So for our concern is that this transducer should not be affected because of the additional circuitry connected to the measuring device. Okay, so that's the basic idea. Loading effect. So that's called as a loading effect. Okay, so that's why we are making use of voltage divider, voltage follower circuit. Okay, so where it was, guys, I think somewhere here. Okay, here we go. Okay, basic the voltage is okay, here it is. Okay. Okay, so the voltage followers proceeding. Okay, eliminate the loading effect on the bridge circuit. Okay, so the gain of the basic amplifier is minus RF by R1. There is this one, guys, minus RF by R1, this circuit. Okay, the gain of this A3 is since it is a inverting amplifier, the gain of this circuit is minus RF by R1. Very simple. It's an inverting amplifier. So for linear application, we have to go for an inverting amplifier only. Okay, so V0 is equal to VAB, input for the op amp A3, minus RF by R1. So substituting for VAB. Okay, so the change in resistance, that is delta R, is very small. Therefore, we can approximate 2R plus delta R to be 2R. Okay, so delta R is a very small quantity. So the output voltage is minus RF by R1 into delta R divided by 4R into VDC. That means, see, RF, R1 all are constant value, VDC is a constant value. So the output voltage V0 is proportional to change in the resistance of the transducer. Change in the resistance of the transducer. Okay, so that's what noted here. Yeah, the equation indicates that V0 is directly proportional to the change in the resistance of the transducer. Okay. Okay, it's fine. I think it is a timer. I will continue. We'll continue in the next class. So much temperature indicator. Okay, so there's one temperature controller, light intensity, analog. It's not necessary. I think this part may not be differential input and differential output amplifiers. Okay, that's all this. Okay, in the next class we'll quickly discuss this and we'll start the second unit. Okay, and the second unit pages are already shared with you guys. We'll follow that material for the discussion of the second unit. So next class I'll start with the second unit. We'll complete this. I'll complete this and then I'll start with the second module. Okay. Okay, it's fine. Thank you. Thanks for joining. Okay. Take care. Stay home. Stay safe. Okay. Bye.